Today we're going to go over how to chip, and more specifically, how to create that tour chip that you're seeing online or that you see the tour players do on TV. There's a couple of things that we have to do, and we have to, most importantly, measure that. So we have our TrackMan connected up. We got all the lights on. We got enough room here to hit the chip, so it's going to definitely get recorded. I've hit a couple here. Just kind of zoom in on that. You can kind of see where I'm focusing in on the spin loft. Got our average there, trying to want to be somewhere in the 53 to 55 or higher. So, how do we create this? Well, without getting too complicated and looking at the best players in the world, you want to make sure that you're getting good contact, good ball contact. Now, a lot of times people think that's in the middle, but really, if you can get it a little bit lower, so you can get that club to hit the ball and then get working upwards after the ball's gone. So we're going to get steep into it, low point ahead, hit lower on the face than maybe we think, and then we can get the club working up. So let's just hit a shot. You can see I like to open the face a little bit more. You don't have to do that when you hit this shot, but you do want to be somewhat square to open, and really trying to get the low point in front of the golf ball. That wasn't a great strike. Spin loft 54.7, so it's still going to be a good chip. The strike point got my spin rate a little bit lower than I would want to. So let me hit a couple more in there, and then I'm going to show you something that you can be aware of. I like to use the same ball. I like to make sure the grooves are the same when I'm doing this, when I'm testing this. It's a little bit better. Still the contact's a little sloppy. Kind of moving a little too much around in that shot. Spin loft of 60 though, so we're going to take that all day. 4,000 spin. See, I like that strike a little bit better, personally. Let's see what we get. Again, I'm getting some high spin loft there, 57. And let's just maximize that, see where we're hitting it. You can see that low point on the center, low club face. Let's go into, just see how far those are carrying. So you can see we got about a 7 to 9 yard chip that we're hitting that. So pretty big swing. You can see that angle of attack about 10, averaging there about 9. So what we're going to do is, those were all done with this club shaft. So now we're going to take this and put a completely different club shaft on here, wedge shaft. So this was a C-taper 130X, very stable, feeling that. Something similar to what I normally swing. I don't swing that. Now we're just going to add a graphite regular. We got the MMT wedge shaft in here, quite a bit lighter. I don't want to say 50 grams, but almost 50 grams. So now we got to create a new little, put just these as a 54-degree wedge, even though it's not. Now we're going to hit a few shots here and see what that does to our numbers. Does it launch it higher? Because we don't really want that. Does it spin it more? We kind of want that. Does the spin loft change? I don't know. Let's find out. That one was pretty well done. Just, again, I feel like I'm moving a little too much of my knees when I'm doing this as opposed to just my upper body. Got a little bit more spin there, 4,200, 8 degrees down. Spin loft 53. So we just cover our checkpoints. See, I like that one a little bit more softer through that shot. That thing's coming out super soft. Low smash factor is what we're looking for when we're chipping. So 0.84 on the smash, 8 degrees down. Spin loft 58, 4,000 spin. That's a really nice chip, going 8 yards only rolling out to 11. I don't know. Getting better, a little more consistent, a little better numbers. That's going to be super soft. Just check that one and then we'll compare it. 6 yards, 4,000 spins. So spin rate's pretty consistent. Didn't get all our data there, so we're going to not count that one. Another, they're coming out super soft. You can feel and see it. You know, because it's a small swing, it's not really kicking through. 8 yards, 4,200 spin. That was better. 10 degrees down, 61 on the spin loft. That's a really good chip there. Now, let's just double check our strike. So some of those were a little bit in the heel. So I'm thinking that's where the different shaft is coming into play here. So a little bit more stability just helps my strike location. Although because I'm hitting in the heel, I'm getting a little bit more spin on the shorter shot. But we want predictable outcomes, right? So if I'm trying to hit this chip and I want it to release a little bit and it just sticks, well, you know, that's not always going to be helpful. And definitely as I make a bigger swing here, if I'm not getting that strike a little bit more in the center, that's going to be also unpredictable. Let's go one more here, see if we can get it in the center with this shaft. Almost tried to hit that off the toe. Kind of jumped up in the air a little bit. But we did get a more successful strike on the toe. Let's see what our numbers are. Still pretty good, 54 on the spin loft. That one jumped up there, carried a little bit further. Didn't hit as down on that one. Low point was a little different, 4,000 spin. Still a good shot. But I think for me, a more stable shaft, a heavier shaft, is going to be more consistent and more repeatable, more playable for me. Now, that might not be the case for you. A lot of times you buy a wedge and it's got that standard S300, S200, S400 wedge shaft, and that might work for you. That might not work for you. So first thing I would do is get the technique down, make sure that we are either square to open on the face, getting that low point ahead. Now you can do that the wrong way, push the handle ahead, and that's where you're not going to get these nice spin loft numbers or soft shots. So we want to make sure that we're really rotating through the shot. It's more rotational than bending, side bend. I also like to feel a little bit of extension. So my head, because I'm just in golf posture and I take the club back a little bit, there's a little bit of bend, side bend going. So we're rotating through. We don't want to side bend through, but we're rotating through the shot. And then I like to add a little bit of extension, because if we just keep rotating, we tend to push the handle towards the target. It's not really what we want to be doing when we're chipping, creating the tour chip, I should say. Many ways to do it. But the tour chip, there's got that rotation, consistent low point, a little bit of friction at the bottom, and then keeping the handle really close to the body, almost holstering it in your left pocket if you're a right-hander. So for me, if I get that extension of my spine a little bit, kind of head moving a little bit upwards, more so from the spine, then that handle goes in the right spot. If I focus too much kind of on the shot and the ball, and then it's more of a push towards the target, not as consistent, not as playable, not as controllable. So let's work on the technique together. Let's also experiment with some different equipment. And always, if you're trying to make a decision on what you need to do, you should be measuring that. If you can't measure it, then work on it, test it out, and then give yourself an opportunity to measure it to decide which way you want to go in terms of either equipment or technique. So as always, if you have any questions, if you need to try some different wedge shafts, please let us know.